We now bring in Daniel du Plessis from Milkor, an innovator in defense technology, to make better sense of the SANDF's response capabilities in the DRC. A very good afternoon to you, Daniel, and thank you so much for your time. So our discussion comes as there are reports of heavy artillery hitting parts of eastern DRC, including the town of Goma. Of course, that's where the M23 says they have regained control. The situation, as we understand it, is still volatile. 9 of the 13 soldiers killed in that fierce fighting with the M23 rebels are South Africans. So in light of the concerns, as we've just been hearing, that the SANDF is ill-equipped to deal with this particular conflict, what have your observations been?
So thank you so much for having me on. It is a complete tragedy, and my condolences also goes out to the families and to the SANDF and DOD as a whole. One of the major aspects, and I think it's been reported on quite a few times, is the fact that the SANDF in their deployment operations in various scenarios, both domestic and abroad, have been severely underfunded, ill-equipped and undertrained. And I think this is essentially a pinnacle point in this discussion in establishing a well-equipped defense force that it has the capability to then combat these operations.
Let's talk then about, budget allowing, firstly. How can drones or any other, high-tech equipment enhance combat intelligence specifically, and maybe even situational awareness in missions such as the DRC deployment, and even maybe countries like Mozambique?
So in the instance of the DRC conflict at the moment, I think one of the biggest challenges that the SANDF troops face is the fact that the rebels they are facing are very well equipped with very advanced systems that requires a situational awareness and air support capability like no other. Our company, Milkor, with the establishment of the Milkor 380 UAV, for example, the largest UAV produced on the African continent, provides exactly such a capability. And I think it is a mandate of the government of South Africa and the SANDF to investigate the capabilities residing within the country and within the respective companies within this industry to support their troops in these types of situations. The situational awareness and air support capabilities that a drone offers of this magnitude is a tremendous asset, and the intelligence and reconnaissance used in that could either prevent such conflicts or at least at the very minimum provide real-time information and air support during these types of conflicts and standoff scenarios.
And I mean, I don't know how much you know of the M23 and, of course, their support from Rwanda, as we are hearing, probably also other countries that may be involved too. I mean, what kind of equipment are we talking about there in terms of their force as they meet out against, the deployment, the SADC and the SANDF deployment there?
So the equipment they are currently using, and I'm not at liberty to comment exactly on which countries are involved or not. It's all speculation at the moment. But the equipment they are using, from what I've heard up to this point, speaking to members in the SANDF and respective stakeholders, is well advanced. And it's modern day technology, 21st century technology that is both used on ground assault as well as air defense systems and air defense capabilities, which makes the requirement for surveillance capabilities in identifying these modern day equipments that are stationary as soon a very high importance and a thing that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about the importance of also investing in this advanced, equipment. I would imagine air support and other combat equipment also, comes into play there, especially to protect troops and improve mission outcomes. But given the fact that it's not only South Africa that is there and that is deployed, how would you say that this can actually be achieved without having that necessary budget that is needed in this case?
I think a large collaboration between the South African defense industry, both private and public, is something that needs to be discussed with the respective stakeholders. I think an investigation into the funding models that are currently available to the SANDF and to the South African government in supplying the necessary logistic support and humanitarian equipment needed to combat these operations are also needed in a drastic sense. I think it is important that government then takes up the opportunity at the moment to regroup and formalize a strategic partnership with the respective stakeholders and industries that can support it to provide the necessary assistance, both equipment and training, to the soldiers on the ground. The thing is that these regional operations are typically a very important thing for the region as a whole. So SADC, the community, entirely relies on the success of this operation. And with South Africa being a prominent force in this, it is important that we equip our soldiers well.
Yeah, and I mean, just talking about, the regional scenario in terms of what is happening here, what else can you tell us about other peacekeeping missions in Africa, where intelligence is needed, and also maybe shared skill? Maybe just speak to us about what else you're observing in other parts of the continent.
So there are many peacekeeping operations, including the one in Cabo Delgado in Mozambique, where the use of UAV technology, for example, would be a great asset, and the use of intelligence gathering and reconnaissance operations as a whole will provide not just the South African Defence Force, but also the SADC community and the regional and continental command councils with the respective information to conduct effective operations with the most reliable and accurate information to date. I think that's something that's often overlooked and something that's lacking within the continent as a whole, is the ability to actually gather accurate and effective information. And our products, such as the Milkor 380, actually allows countries to use the certain technologies that are modern day to be able to do those type of operations.